Hello. So, um, talk a little bit about a somewhat common practice in recovery. It's not unusual. No, it's not unusual for sponsors, counselors, and whatnot to have friends, families, and loved ones either write letters or come in and express to them how said person's addiction or addictions has affected them. Well, I agree and disagree with this practice. I agree with it in the aspect that the only way to start to heal a wound, obviously, is you have to identify the wound. The only way to clear resentments is you have to own up to your part in them. So I agree with the fact that at some point there needs to be an exchange. Where I disagree is, unfortunately, more often than not, all it does is continue to perpetuate the cycle of love under condition and shame and guilt. Because most people, unfortunately, they take it as an opportunity to let said person know, you hurt me, you made me feel this way, you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. As if suddenly now the addict is not only responsible for his own happiness and his own feelings, but now he's responsible for all the feelings, emotions, and happiness and well being of every person who has ever been in his life and in his circle. And I'm sorry, but that's not the case. Not only is it completely unrealistic, it's also totally unfair. And it just perpetuates the cycle of I'm sorry, that's not true unconditional love. Not the way I see it, not the way I understand it, not the way I've experienced it. Because what a lot of people fail to realize is us as addicts, we don't do the things we do because we're trying to maliciously hurt people in our lives. We don't lie, we don't cheat, we don't steal because we're trying to hurt you. We're well aware of the fact that our actions hurt other people and that there are consequences for those actions. It's called a self-loathing cycle. That's why we wake up every morning and basically do it all over again, because we already know that. In the back of our head, we already think of ourselves as pieces of shit, and then we do a bunch of shitty crap, and it just makes it worse. You telling us how badly we fucked up and how badly we hurt you isn't helping with the healing process. Not right away. There is a time and place for that. And if you get the opportunity to express to an addict what you experienced as a non-addict, please, please, please do not phrase it or word it as a blame game. Because you are just as responsible for your own emotional well-being in your own state. The example I always give is this: I can walk up and slap you in the face right now. Am I responsible for the mark I left on your face, the sting and the initial shock? Yes, I am. Past that, it's on you. How you react to it and how you handle it is entirely your choice. You can be offended, you can feel disrespected, you can be like, "Oh, you okay?" You know, you can be hurt and hold a grudge for years. That's your choice, not mine. Yet people will do that. In that example, I walk up, I slap you in the face for no reason, just whack. Past the initial shock. Of course, one of the consequences could be you could fucking slap me right back. Okay, and that's fair. But if a day later, a week later, you're still pissed off at me, it's got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with you. And it's the same thing when it goes to addicts and non-addicts. One of the things I could not stand in early addiction when I was struggling to try to get sober was my friends and family would come to me all the time and go, "Why are you doing this to us? Why are you doing this to me?" Excuse you? Who the fuck are you? As if the bad choices of me not being able to cope with life on life's terms and the choices I was making, which, albeit were shitty choices, and I understand that it's hard to see somebody you love and care about go down that road. I get it. I trust me. I've experienced both sides of that coin now. But you coming at an addict as if they're doing it to maliciously hurt you, you will not heal a wound that way. All you're doing is shifting the blame and the responsibility. Oftentimes, a lot of addicts, in my experience, my own personal experience in talking and experiencing a lot of things with them and having sponsored people, having run groups, oftentimes it's feeling the weight and the responsibility of having to, or feeling like we had to be responsible for the people around us, our loved ones in our care, and the people we cared about, responsible for their happiness as well as ours, that lead us down to addiction. Because here's the problem with that: it's a form of codependency. That person is now reliant on me to dictate their emotional state of being and therefore dictate a good portion of their reality. They've now given their power over to me to decide how they're going to feel and how their day is going to be, based just solely on the way they are reacting to me. And the problem with that is most people, and I'm guilty of this at times in my life as well, we have certain expectations. And when those expectations aren't met, guess what? There's disappointment, there's hurt, and there's resentment. And this is why I say codependency is just another form of addiction, because it really is. And that's not to say you shouldn't expect people to be basic, decent humans. No, of course you should. If somebody's blatantly lying to you and emotionally manipulating you or abusing you, that's a different story. But I'm just talking about every normal, everyday interactions, even what most people would consider a normal, healthy relationship. People do that all the time. You hurt me. No, I didn't. Your inadequacies, your fears, and your insecurities made you react in a way and made you feel hurt based on my actions and the projection of those insecurities onto my actions. You assumed my motivations. And I talk about this all the time. That's how the subconscious mind validates itself. And that's what I mean by as within, so without. What you believe in here and in here, you're going to see in the rest of the world and in the people you meet and the interactions you have. That's what it means by people are mirrors, and you like and dislike the things in others that you like and dislike in yourself. So if you get that opportunity to sit down with somebody that you've loved and cared about who has suffered from addiction, and they want to know how it made you feel, it's fine to tell them, but take ownership when you do. If it really broke your heart and it really disappointed you and it really hurts you, fine. Word it that way. Tell them. Say, it was very painful for me because I love you and I care about you so much to watch you destroy yourself that way. And I couldn't understand it. Instead of,